Hello everyone. COVID-19 has been a disaster for the economy. Every day, hundreds of people are losing their jobs. And to make things worse, it is increasingly difficult to find meaningful work, resulting in the job search not only being meaningless, but increasingly demoralizing as well. So, what if I told you that you could get away from all of this? Enough is enough. What if I told you that you could become your very own boss? My name is James, and if you spend me a few minutes of your time today, I'll teach you how you can reclaim your life by starting your very own business. Inspired by chapter 16 of the book Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, I've devised a foolproof financial freedom plan that anyone can use, and I'll be sharing with you a part of that plan today. So, before we start, a successful businessman must first understand how the economy works. While economics might sound like a confusing and complex subject, don't worry, I'll boil it down for you with this simple scenario instead. So imagine this. Small Bank has opened its very first branch in Singapore. I decide to deposit my earnings from selling health supplements into the bank. So now there's a total of $1 million inside. Armed with the skills necessary after finishing this course, you go to the bank and you convince them to loan you $1 million in order to start your very own health supplement business too. You then take that money and buy supplements from me. And now I have $2 million in my bank account. Your friend Tom, inspired by your success and your courage, decides to do the same thing. He takes the same loan, he buys the same supplements, and now I have $3 million inside my bank account. So if you've noticed, the bank has actually been circulating that same $1 million that I initially deposited again and again and again. So now there's actually a discrepancy of $2 million between what's reflected in my bank account and what the bank actually has. And this discrepancy is only allowed to exist because there is an element of trust in the health supplement businesses run by both you and Tom. The bank invests money into the business, trusting that one day it'll be profitable enough and you'll be able to pay off your loans. Similarly, despite not having sold a single product yet, both you and Tom trust that one day these supplements will bring in enough profits to repay your loans. I trust that I can withdraw my money at any time I want in the future. So as you can see, trust is the key word here. Trust is the backbone of the modern economy, and it serves as that backing for that $2 million discrepancy. This form of trust is also known as credit. Credit represents the value of imaginary future goods. It presumes that our future resources will be much more abundant than they currently are today. As a result, it lets us pay for today using tomorrow, or in this case, it lets us pay for today's health supplement business costs using the profits of tomorrow's business. So when businesses start becoming profitable and repaying their loans, the banks gain more trust in the future and are more willing to extend out credit to business hopefuls. So this shows you how the magic circle of the modern economy works. Credit gets used to finance new businesses, and when new businesses become profitable, they repay their loans. When loans are repaid, banks gain more trust in the future and are even more willing to extend out more credit to business hopefuls. Every time this cycle completes itself, the economy just grows larger and larger and larger. Therefore, the main takeaway from all of this is that first, inspire trust in the future, not just in banks and your customers, but within yourself as well. Secondly, secure a line of credit for your business. This is a must. Once you've met these two conditions, your business is on its way to flourishing. So now that we've established the means to starting a business, we also need to adopt the right mindset as well. The key idea here is that greed is good. This is a mantra that we should center all business decisions about. As Adam Smith argued in The Wealth of Nations, in our pursuit for more profits, we invest any profits we have already made back into our business. And as a result, not only do we gain more profits, we actually create more jobs as well. So effectively, we are increasing the sum total wealth of mankind. Therefore, by choosing to be greedy and rich, I'm actually contributing to the entire economy. And I'm actually helping everyone live a better life by creating more jobs. This idea is again reflected in the capitalist creed. The profits of production must be invested in increasing production. So this can be achieved by hiring more workers, spending more on research, developing new products, a whole myriad of different ways really. When production increases, so do profits. The prevalence of the capitalist creed is so widespread that it even has implications on how modern science works today. Research grants are mostly awarded by companies or governments who are interested in finding out how their money can be made into more profits via research. So all the innovations that you see today, such as your smartphones, your laptops, video streaming services, are all thanks to the capitalist greed. So if you're still not convinced about the efficacy of the capitalist greed in growing a business, we only need to look at European imperialism to see just how effective it was. Starting with the success of Columbus's discovery of America, European conquest of the world became increasingly financed by credit rather than taxes. So European merchants were actually happy to finance exploration as they trusted in the potential of exploration to bring in even more profit. So this was in part due to the success of the colonization of America. In a sense, they followed the capitalist creed by choosing to invest their profits from one exploration into many other different explorations as well. And as a result, they made even more profit. Innovations such as joint stock companies, where credit was gathered from various investors, greatly reducing the risk a single investor will have to bear, was also developed during this period due to the overwhelming availability of credit too. What's the result of all of this? Complete domination of the world by European countries. At one point, the phrase, "the sun never sets on the British Empire," was coined to represent just how expensive the entire British Empire was. So this is exactly why, in order to run a successful business, we need to reorientate our mind and adopt the capitalist greed. And remember, greed is good. At this point, one thing to be wary of is that the fact is that at times, we actually need to act in order to secure our businesses. Oftentimes, we are unable to control whether our business is successful or not. Sometimes things that sound good on paper just don't work out for one reason or another. And it's okay, it is what it is. But that doesn't mean that we just sit by idly watching our businesses fail. No. Instead, we need to act in order to influence the probability of our desired outcome occurring. So this is exactly what British businessmen did in the 1840s when the investments in China were actually under threat as the Chinese government decided to restrict certain imports from Britain. They pressured the British government to act against the Chinese, and this resulted in a war with China on the basis of free trade. So, through their actions, they actually paved the way for ensuring the success of their businesses in China and actually allowed even more businesses to grow in China. So similarly, when a need arises, you too should take any means necessary in order to secure your business interests, even if it means taking political ones too. So to conclude, I'd just like to deal with some common criticisms of capitalism and the free market in general. There are some that argue that greed is not good, especially if it leads to workers being exploited by being forced to work more for less. They often quote the slave trade, where millions across the world actually suffered, to show just how dangerous capitalism and the free market becomes when it turns into a purely economic enterprise devoid of morals. Furthermore, the free market often produces efficient outcomes, but not equitable ones. What this means is that while resources are maximized, the profits of production are disproportionately distributed, with some receiving a much larger share than everyone else. So to some extent, these are valid criticisms. Capitalism has made its mistakes in the past, but it swore to never repeat them again via increased regulations in the markets. However, it is equally undeniable that only because of capitalism today, we are living much better lives compared to a century ago. We can see this proof from higher life expectancy, lower child mortality, increasing calorie intake. These are things that we desire more of. So capitalism can provide, but it just needs a bit more time in order to grow the economic pie large enough. While it can never guarantee that everyone will get a fair share, it promises that everyone will have enough to survive and live a good life. Besides, capitalism has become so ingrained in our lives that we just simply can't live without it anymore. So don't worry about adopting the capitalist greed, and don't worry about being greedy and making money. You're actually doing everyone else a favor. So with this, we've come to the end of the video. On screen now is a quick summary of the main points that I've shared today. Hopefully, you've learned just a bit more about how you can start your very own business. And if you need more help or like to learn more, do consider subscribing as well. In the description below is a link to my website where you can book personal coaching sessions with me. So I hope to see you soon, and remember, greed is good. Thank you.